Hi, it's Xavier, and welcome to my bonsai retreat. And just before the month clicks over, I thought I'd give you an update on all the trees that I've worked on up until this point. Now, I know that you'll have seen some updates in May, but we've got some pretty startling results for a lot of the hard prunes I did. I think if you think back to March, there was a lot of trees that I went really hard on. I think there was the Fuji Cherry for beginners, there was the Olives, and a little bit later the dwarf Azaleas as well. They all got really heavy hard prunes. I think I said to you I was a little bit uncertain what would happen. Well, I think it's time you got to see the results, because you need to feel confident that with these species, at the time of the year that I showed you, you can prune hard, and it works out and it benefits you in the end. And I know certainly there were a couple of people who, with the olives, were probably nervous of what I did, but I'm going to reap the rewards. So I'm literally I've got a list here of a lot of the trees, the Jades, the Ficus, and we're going to, in fact, even the Tanuki. And we're going to zoom in and quickly run through those as a more focused garden update of the bonsai. So hopefully that'll suit you. And if it doesn't, well, it won't matter, because you'll turn off and go and watch Jason Hanrahan in the Bonsai Garden, or Not Another Bonsai Channel. In fact, talking of Not Another Bonsai Channel, can I apologise now, Gavin? There's a link here for one of his videos, if you haven't seen him, but if you want a taster of his sort of approach, then watch on. Oh, hello there. It's not Another Bonsai Channel. It's me, it's Xavier. And today, we're going to find out what I keep in my rubbish. Come on, join me. As I said, all tongue-in-cheek, great channel, and I love seeing the way his channel's developing. I think it bodes well for the future of UK bonsai. And for those of you who are not aware, I know I've been blessed to have a load of new subscribers come through, and as I say, it's bittersweet, because I do recognise that you know, through Tony's charity, I think some of you have come from his channel as a result of what he's said. But I've got a playlist of smaller bonsai creators for the UK specifically, and there's a whole host of them there. Some of them you'll know. There's a few there that I keep finding that I add to it. So if that's something that interests you, have a look in the description, you'll see the playlist. Yeah, anyway, let's crack on and let's see how things stand at the end of June, shall we? Will you two stop mating up there? Honestly. You know what that means? They're going to be at my moss again, aren't they, looking for nesting material. Birds, who'd have them? Oh, and just before we do hit the tour, I'm on the Alex's lapel mics, and that is because I'm going to be buzzing the camera all over the place, and this is one of those occasions when it's going to be more appropriate. So, any sound issues, sorry. Now, I know on the 22nd of March, we did the Old Man Larch. Got lots of healthy growth on it, and what's even better, as I'll show you in a sec, is an area I thought I was going to have to prune off. I won't. And if we look here, this whole branch, as far as I was concerned, was basically gone. I mean, this one, there may well still be a bud that comes from here. This one back here was also completely bare. Now the chances are I have lost that back one down here. But here, two buds here that's going to allow me to build out here. And more importantly, and much more sustainably, is here. I've got 1, 2, 3 buds. That is going to allow me to create a new pad up here, a lot higher up. And potentially, well, I'll cut back a bit, but I'll be able to do without this one here. So, you know, I always say, be patient. The tree may well give you something to work with a little later on than you. And all I'm going to do with it, feed it up and keep it well watered. Just for reference, this tree was the first of my real bonsais. Started from a year-old sapling back in 2002, and I say one of my original trees. It's a load on this one in the Larch playlist. I think somewhere around the same sort of time I did the repot on my one and only Korean Hornbeam, which I've had since 2003. And I think if you look back in that video, you'll see that I was really worried about just how poor the root ball was, and I did worry. But looking at the amount of leaf growth on that, I feel that I was right to do that repot, and now it's going to really benefit and thrive. Oh, and there's the pond Elaeagnus Japanese maple. Not much fish in there, but looking nice and healthy with a few shoots there that I'll have to prune back. Right, so the next big one we did, Fuji Cherry. Believe it was building a bonsai from nursery stock or something like that. Now I did this 8th of April. If I remember rightly, took it out of the pot, did the roots, took it all the way back to bare trunk, and I said, I think it was a 3-foot tree actually, and I said, this is what you need to do to establish your primary structure. And the primary structure I was talking about was here, these here. And looking at there now, we've got lots of growth coming up here. This is going to be the sort of height I'm looking at for this. We've got lots of growth coming out here. And overall, it has responded absolutely brilliantly. And probably I'm still going to continue to let that flourish, because what I want is as much energy going downstairs to continue to help build new roots. Most of that root stuff will happen in the autumn, I know, but I might cut back a few odds and bits, but there you go. So if you want to see how that started, definitely there's the link up there. If you're uncertain or nervous about what to do with a new nursery tree, I highly recommend having a look at that. Definitely it's my approach, but I think you'll find it's an approach that's been adopted by quite a few other people who actually do know what they're doing. I mean, I will remove all of this stuff here, and there's nothing stopping you doing that now. And these, I've definitely planted those as cuttings in the past, and they've been fine. I tend to find I get the better success if I do the early spring cuttings. So, remove all that growth. And you know, when you walk around your trees and you see stuff you don't like, get rid of it straight away. The sooner you do it, the better. And I don't know, I might have a lower branch, depends where I come. We end up cutting this even further down. If you look there, little shoot there and there, I could actually decide to take that off in a year or two time. But yeah, so that's the Fuji. I've got this Japanese larch forest. I'm sure I did it this year with the lion and the gorilla. That will be pruned next week. But very, very healthy. Still very, very young in development though. And then definitely, I'm sure it was in February, I did this little dawn redwood forest out of all my successful cuttings. As you can see from that, lots of beautiful fronds and growth on that. Haven't pruned it at all and don't really intend to. I'm just going to let it go. And I want those roots to just grow vigorously. Now, I'm sure you will remember that once my dwarf azaleas had flowered, I did some repot, and I also went in a bit hard, and I wanted to rebuild a secondary structure. A lot of the leaf growth was looking tired, and that was part of that was down to the fact that it had been in the pots for too long without repots. But I also said to you, great time to do hard cutbacks, and we really did go hard. And here you go. This is how it looks now. A lot of healthy growth, and apart from a couple of spots where it didn't grow back, very, very positive. So, you know, yes, you can definitely repot and prune your dwarf azaleas post-flowering, which, say, in this case was late April, and 6-7 weeks later get great results. A little bit of a spin on it. All this growth here, I'm happy. So we've got tighter, it's a lot tighter, a lot greener and healthier up here. So all the places where I cut, I got at least 2, maybe 3 shoots down here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shoots from the cut sites. There's one growing in, so I don't want that. And I'm going to let these go for a while and let the tree enjoy that growth. They're here. I cut here, but actually it's responded a lot further back. And again, we've got buds either side, so very happy with that. I can look at cutting back here. Only had one area that didn't, and that was this one up here. which truthfully doesn't bother me. Here I've got the option, I've got 2 layers going down. I may actually remove the base one there, or remove this one here and grow the pads out this way. So lots of options now open to me. A little bit there. So all I'm going to be doing a little bit later on is cleaning that up, feeding it up, and letting it enjoy the rest of the year. But did they all respond as well? Well, truthfully, no, they didn't. And I've always said, when you're doing this pruning, don't expect 100% all the time. Some of them definitely had more root issues going on than others. And the first one I showed you, that one was pretty healthy root-wise. This one was less so. And if you can see here, I've lost that entire branch, nothing growing from that. But here, there's lots of new budding there. But also, in closer, I've got micro buds already starting to show there. Lower down, we've got this here, so I can actually consider actually removing all that top and having the new height much lower down. This is nice and healthy, and yep, I'm going to have to remove this back branch. So there's going to be a bit more of a redesign on that, but it's healthy. I've definitely got enough to rebuild and regrow it, and got through the repot. So yeah, bonus. And I suppose this one sort of somewhere in between the two, a bit more healthier roots on it. Looks like I've lost this whole branch back here, but we've got this here, we've got all this stuff at the front here looking nice, all this growth up here. I'm more than happy. I'll remove this one here, may well shorten this, bring it in tighter. I will probably remove this lower branch, so it's just going to be the 2 going up. Decisions I can make in the future, but because I did the hard work, I'm going to reap some results from it. From that point of view, so long you're willing to accept that, you know, you're not necessarily going to get 100%, it will depend on the root mass, but certainly it works. And if you've got a healthy azalea, you must definitely cut back hard and get the results I'm getting now. And then for the light goes, we've also got this big English oak, which originally started as a stump that I picked up from Greenwoods. I repotted it definitely a video last March time, I think, and I haven't done a thing with it. A little bit of leaf cutting last year, and this year, again, it's one of those instances where it's put out a flush of growth, but nothing more than what's consistent with it being happy with what it's got. Please leave me alone. So it's nice and healthy, but until I see bigger flush or anything, I'll leave that alone. So I'm not sure that will appear this year. It might be something I do in the late autumn. I might look at some branches. And unfortunately, we've got a Chinese elm here, an old sort of 35-year-old specimen that we're not getting any leaf extension on at all. So I've got a funny feeling that one may well not be here next year. Heat's played havoc with the elms. Now, I don't think it was much longer than 1st of June, probably just over 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I went in very hard on my quince. And I remember a lot of dismay from a few people who were upset because I took all those lovely flowers off. But again, I'm concentrating on the structure. So flowers have come off, got a few drops of rain actually. But, you know, I went in heavy on it. And now look, lots of new growth. And I will be looking at that. Wires fine. And what's more important is that the growth, because of the cuts, I've got little shoots here, here and here, so I can cut back on those, and it's going to make the whole idea of designing this as a bonsai a lot easier. And again, went in hard on the pruning at a time when it was appropriate to do so. So quince, excellent, really happy. Around the same time as the quince, I went in heavy on the Trident maples, and in fact this was one of the ones, I think I labelled it as a don't do repot emergency. I didn't use the word emergency repot, but this is one that I definitely took out, did quite a lot of root reduction, and have had it in the shade for a good few weeks. And I'll say we've got lots of bud coming up, and the initial signs are that we've got a nice healthy Trident maple. Some of the older leaves that I didn't remove on leaf cutting I can now remove now, but overall That plus the other sort of dozen or so maples, dozen or so tridents I've got. In fact, I'll show you another one. All looking pretty good. And I think if anyone's seen Yelly's video about tridents, he's already had that new flush of growth all over them. And all my tridents have flushed out beautifully like that. So what's that, about 3 weeks? Very, very happy. And as I say, all the tridents are looking like that. That one at the end. Yeah, it's got lots of beautiful, healthy green growth. So very, very happy there. And I do remember doing a little fun video all about what I do with sort of my smaller starter trees that I try to keep as, well, they're not Mame yet. I know they're not Mame, as someone quite rightly pointed out. There's that little apple there. That's looking lovely. And then I've gone for this Semi-Cascade Oak. And I've still got to prune the leaves on that, but it's in a beautiful Dawn Isaac ceramic. Two men playing chess. No, I think we have to go back to the 27th of May when I did the big copying of Nigel Saunders from the Bonsai Zone, where I demonstrated I can leave wire alone. Did a full defoliation of this Tigerbark Ficus and demonstrated clip and grow using his methodology. It is methodology, I think, isn't it? And again, it was one of those ones where for a few weeks, I think I even sent a message to Nigel saying, not getting my leaves coming back. And he said, wait, they come a bit later in the year. And sure enough, I'm now absolutely inundated with lots of nice new growth. And when we close in, you'll see the new options I'm going to have to bring this in. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Not a favourite for indoor trees simply because I haven't got the space inside to look after them properly. I am hopefully going to rectify that. But yeah, let's get in close and just see how much new bud growth I've got to work with soon. You know, all around the tree, I've got all these micro buds coming. A lot, really a lot lower in on all these branches. See this one, I've got buds all the way here. I'm going to be able to cut back another centimetre further back. Even here, on this one, I've got pairs there, so I can be able to take this one back another centimetre. On this one at the back here, I've got these two that have come here, plus something further back. I'll be able to cut that right back. So the next time I work on this, I'm going to be able to do wonders about bringing that structure in even tighter. So very, very happy with that. And the results I've had from that means I'm a lot more encouraged with the branch behind it, which I talked about quite a bit. So overall, really happy. I've got so many options with this one. Even back here, we've got nothing much on the top, but I've got micro buds a lot closer in. Suits me down to the ground. Here, I think I talked about, I hoped on this back one that I was going to get something from the base. So I may well actually be able to remove this stuff here and then build a new pad out coming from here. Again, low options here. Options lower here, so I can actually take this whole top off. But again, what I will say is for any of those sort of decisions, I'm going to let this stuff really flush out, and I won't do any pruning on it for a good couple of months. And knowing me, I'll probably see a video from Nigel at some point in the future and think, that could be a good time to do it. So very happy. And the small ficus, which I know has created a lot of debate, I'll actually show you how that's looking. Well, here it is. You're getting closer, but again with this, I've got buds all the way back on these branches, so I can bring it in closer. This is the wiring I did to fill in that gap from taking that great big branch, the one off up here, and I could have kept it, and yes, it would have given it character, but I'm looking at sustainability to build a more structured and probably traditional form based on this. So I've got this developing now, coming out and around. Front maybe somewhere in there now. So that's how it's looking. It'd be interesting once the leaves all actually leaf out, but every branch, actually apart from this one, has lots of new buds lower down. You know, looking at it, certainly here, got a bud there, bud behind it. So cutting that off has made all the difference. On this branch here, we've got this bud right here. So that's a lot lower in, which is going to give me the opportunity to cut this top bit off. But it's also telling me that if I wait another year, I can go hard again and get it even, you know, I want something potentially right in here. That's where I'd like a bud. 2 buds either side on right back here. But there is actually another bud there. So I could get there and remove, which is what I'll do, remove this whole top. On this one there and there, so that's a lower frame. And then we come further up, and again we've got little buds here, 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 here. Here, so I can reduce the heights of some of these upward growing stuff. Again, on this one that I've wired out, I've got buds further back, which suits me because actually I've got a bud there and there. I'll be able to remove this whole centimetre and bring it right back in. And say the same if you look higher up here, where we've got this unwanted great length. I can already, with these buds here and here, take off that centimetre, and I can do the same with a slightly lower branch. And it does mean, as I say, next year I may well cut even further back and see if I can get buds coming from here and bring this in tighter. So yeah, very, very happy with the response I've had to that hard prune and full defoliation. Now, as for the junipers and the famous red cedar rust, I've set them in a sort of corner area where hopefully they can't cause any additional infections. They themselves, after the removal of all those branches, are I'd say thriving. Lots and lots of green growth. So I will be looking at these junipers later on in the year, and I'll be finding some sort of treatment for them. But if it goes according to the rules, next year there shouldn't be anything red cedar rust related to these, and I'll just have to do a pre-treatment on my fruiting trees, my apples and stuff. So very happy with that. Now, way back in the 1st of April, we attempted our first Tanuki, we in the third person. I did too, but here it is. We've got leaf growth from several places, very happy with that. I'm just going to feed it up and let that stuff keep growing. I have recognised we had one here that unfortunately didn't continue to grow. That's a bit of a pain because really I could do with a branch there, but a bit of wire, I'll be able to do stuff with it. But in terms of that, I'm very happy. Going in close here, you can clearly see these have really, really bedded in nicely into the gap. So I hadn't thought about doing it, but I'm actually going to see what happens if I release the ties on it. Tie up here. Now, this is still a bit tight. This has got a bit of loose on it. So I'll probably keep this top one on, or tie this one up here. But further down, definitely I can release these. That's definitely in, very, very firmly in place. Under there seems to be, and the nice thing is I can just see the mark where the tie was, but not enough to be concerned. So I'm actually going to release the lower ties as well. So we'll just release that, staying in place, and release the lower one. Yeah, that's firmly holding. So I'm happy to let that grow now. I know I talked about keeping some of these branches here. Do you know what? Let's just get them out of the way. These are dead branches. Let's just clear them from the scene. That didn't make it. So we've got that's fine. This is a nice branch. Let's get rid of that. Got a nice growth there. Got growth under here. Get rid of this great big one here. And we'll get rid of this one here. Now, someone did raise a good point about the fact that the main trunk itself, without hardening, may well actually rot off. And yeah, it could do that, but if I continue to feed this up, it'll maintain that structure, it'll get bigger and fatter, and worst case we're going to have this hollow spiral maybe and a rotting trunk inside it. No sign of disease coming from it. So overall, for my first ever Tanuki attempt, I'm pretty happy with this. The main thing is the whip has stuck in there. The whip is growing in most places, and I've got options. Definitely got options. Obviously we're looking a little bit branchless. Could do with a branch down here, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue for this. So Tanuki's a big, yeah, well done. It's worked out. Now, I'm not going to go touring you down the Chinese elms, but it's always the last thing that I ever get to, if I get to at all. And definitely there's some pruning to be done on those. Now, there was another big one we had that happened as a result of a lot of Chinese elm dieback from last year's heat waves, and unfortunately I've got two more like this that it doesn't look like are going to make it this year. Tragedy, but this was one that we lost the entire top, and there's a big video about it, and I think it was Candice from Bonsai Science who made suggestions about this lower branch here and creating a cascade with it, or a semi-cascade, with that lovely trunk movement. And that's where we're going. I kept hold of this because I wasn't sure whether I'd still do some deadwood carving, and that may still be an option. But look at the growth we've had on this, and this is going to be one of the pruning jobs, that are going to be coming up. But yeah, so really happy with that. And what I do like about the elm is that it means I've got these two shoots here, which if I do some initial wiring on them, I may actually be able to create quite an interesting sort of cascade coming from all points. I don't know, but there's an option on that side. Obviously I'm never going to use that one there. And say it again, whenever you see growth from places that you are never ever going to have a branch, remove it. It's wasting energy. So yeah, very happy with that. Now, as you know, the hard prune I did on the olives was probably my most risky from my perspective, and has reaped the most rewards. So Sam from Aussiebonsaibloke, cheers, it worked perfectly. I've got loads of growth, and I'm actually going to have to sort that out, which will be in a separate video I'm sure. But you know, from points under here I've got 6, 7 shoots coming out. I've got loads of shoots from here, up the top here, loads from here. So I'm actually quite happy that I'm probably going to be able to remove this branch next, this big one here, and bring it in a lot tighter and develop a tree from close in. What I know I will do is I don't want any energy at all going into the suckers, so they I will remove now. I don't need to think about that at all. That's what I will do. Always, unless you're looking to create a raft design or something, remove your suckers. Okay. There's a lot of downward stuff there that I can probably make that decision on now. There's an inward one there, and of course, the sooner you make these sort of decisions, now you're seeing this sort of response, the more energy that's going to get directed at these. So although I said I'll do that in a later video, I can definitely get rid of obvious ones, to me anyway. So I've got 1, 2. Don't know, that's the strong one. I like where it is, so I'll probably take out this middle one here. There we go. So we've just got 2 from there now. Here there's just still quite small growth, so I'm not overly bothered yet. There's something from the crotch, I'll leave that, don't know yet. I want all this growth here because I did a lot of biting back here, so I want to heal that. You know, it may well be, well, here I've actually got the opportunity to prune back later in the year to bring it a lot closer, and I've got all this stuff on this branch. So hard prune, absolute success. There's one of them not quite the same success. I'll show you that to you now. Now this one was the one I saw first, and as I say, I went 6 or 7 weeks thinking I've killed my olives. This one's responded a lot slower, but it's also going to give me an opportunity to demonstrate to you what you're looking for to know that it's going to be alright, because this one has lovely structure. And beside it you can see little bumps, 2 little bumps, and they too are future buds, so that's where I want the energy to go. But all around it I've got little tight nodules which are eventually going to become leaves. What I am going to tell the tree though is I do not want it concentrating any energy there, because the temptation is to go, do you know what, maybe that won't survive, let's see if I can grow something from here. Well, I don't want to, so we're going to get rid of all these where the tree's saying, basically the tree's saying I don't want to grow from here, so I'm going to try and create a new tree. And we're saying to the tree, no, you'll grow where I want you to grow from. So we're going to get rid of all that. So now, hopefully what that means is the tree is going to say, hate you, hate you, hate you, but throw all its energy back into those few little microscopic buds that are just appearing there and give us the growth that I originally wanted. But overall, even that, I'm happy that I've got buds and nodules showing, so it will be a success. Okay, now these are the maples that I did the root work on, and they're all on slate. Now I haven't done any pruning on them, but needless to say, they've been sprayed regularly and they look happy, and I may or may not just take some of that top growth off. But for now, very, very happy with how they're working out. The big purpureum, as I said to you, it never seems to put out a second flush. There is, looking down there, looks like we've got a new flush there, but it's a very, very slow, elegant little tree. Obviously, some of the little Mame ones I'm doing, we've now definitely got lots of flushes of growth coming through. And just so you're aware, if you notice the sound difference, because I'm mobile and out on the scene, I'm having to use the lapel mics, and that's what they are useful for. But yeah, lots of wonderful growth on these. And they're all looking very, very, very healthy. Now the last of the sort of direct individual updates I can give you is on this silverberry and Elaeagnus. Very weird spelling. But I've got a couple of videos on this one, and I don't understand why they're not popular, because they are a top, easy to find bonsai subject, and you get quite a number of pruning opportunities with them. You'll see that I actually did the pruning on this way back 25th of February. It's an evergreen, so it still had full leaf growth on it, and I completely and utterly defoliated it with an idea that I wanted it to push new growth at this time. And look at that, it's absolutely wonderful. And I'll be now pruning back, doing a little bit of semi-defoliation to keep the light in there, but so much healthy growth. It's a big success story. That one also had a change of potting angle, and yes, there's one issue. We've got a bit of inverse taper here. What am I going to do? Shoot it? No. I'm just going to make sure it's at a good potting angle where that's not so obvious. But you know what? I love how it's developing, and it's not your standard tree, but it still looks like a bonsai. Well, I think so. So that's the silverberry Elaeagnus. Now the Jades. I did all this work on the Jades, 15th of February I think that was, bring them all back to stumps basically, and I'm happy that little elephant forest it's continuing to grow. Now we have actually lost a few branches here and there. That's a combination of overwatering, because of where I had them positioned, and also wind. We do suffer from wind in Lincoln. Yeah, so, you know, reasonably happy with how they are. You can always tell if they're healthy, because around the actual leaf itself, the pear, there'll be that lovely reddish colour. So, yeah, and then I've got the ones down there as well. Now, about the same time I did the hard prune on those dwarf azaleas, I also did one on this forsythia, little Mame forsythia, and got it out of its old pot, and definitely needed that. I think if you remember right, the roots were absolutely everywhere, and I wasn't sure how well it would react, because I did take a lot of roots off. But we've got a lovely crown of growth here. Yep, we've lost this branch here. We've lost a little one down here, but you know, I don't necessarily think that's actually caused any issue. It's actually really properly defined growth over to this side, so you know, you could have a front in there anyway. But yeah, so the forsythia did really well for the repot. And of course there's one other job that's definitely got to be done: sorting through all those hundreds of Chinese elm cuttings, 2-3 years old. There's going to be some good potential bonsai in there, I have no doubt. And of course there was all the root on rock stuff that I did some work on earlier back in March, April. There they are, all very, very healthy, all with lots and lots of growth. So that's Chinese elm and Trident maples. Very, very happy, and I'll leave them to grow, because I want those roots to grip. And we'll have a look at them again next year, I think. So, hopefully you've enjoyed the slightly different style of the garden update, and hopefully you like the fact that I've been a bit more specific with some of the ones that may have gone unnoticed. And I know those hard prunes should be of interest to people, because you could go ahead and do it at those times next time and not be worried, because it's worked. We knew it would work anyway. So, what can we expect from July? Sun or rain? Or a mixture of both, because this is the UK, we get all sorts. No, Japanese white pine. I didn't do it last year, but I've looked at it and I can just start seeing the sheaths look like they're close to falling. And when those little brown paper sheaths fall, you've got a good couple of weeks where you can then do some selection and all sorts with this. The main work though is going to happen in the autumn. This is going to get repotted back into its original pot and get it out of this big shallow. I'm happy now that it's had 3 years to recover, I think, repot. And again, that brings me back to being certain not to overtax something. Definitely with something like this, one major insult a year. So I know I'm going to do the repot in the autumn, which means any pruning or stuff I do will be light. But we'll go through that when I get to it. Scots pine. I'm absolutely inundated with Scots pines, lots of Scots pines work to do, and Mugo pine. If you know already what to do with your Mugo pines, about pinching needles and cutting back your candles, you know, it's on now. I'll be doing those in the next few days, although the videos may not get out for a week or two. So yeah, if you're itching fingers to get into your Mugo pines or your Scots pines, go ahead and do it. So, I mean, there's going to be other stuff. I've got lots of Chinese elm pruning to do, and wiring, and probably some carving work. But hopefully, you'll have got a feel of the optimism buzz that's happening around the bonsai retreat right now. And before the police helicopter comes down to nab me for fraudulently pretending to be a bonsai expert, I'll say thanks for watching, happy bonsaiing, God bless. Cheers.